In this video, I'm going to be doing a heater core flush on my 2005 Honda Pilot, and I'm doing this in conjunction with the coolant change I did in my last video. The outlet hose for the heater core is right here, and it's the top one, and the inlet hose is the bottom one. For this, I've got some 5/8 internal diameter hose, some coolant, a funnel, a couple pliers, and some extension pieces for my garden hose. I also have a milk jug and a bucket, which I'll use for the clean water. Now to hook up my hose, I got a valve so I can turn it on at the house, and then I can actually turn it on and off right at the end of the hose. And then I got a quick connect so I can plug it straight into the 5/8 diameter hose that I got as well. A little more on that later. It turns out you need more than just the 5/8 hose, but I will explain that in a bit. And as you can see, the quick connect works just like that, and it's super convenient. So that hose setup was about $10, and I got that at Canadian Tire. Now I'm going to take the top hose off first. Like I said, that is the outlet hose. So get the hose clamp off and then just give it a good twist. It's still a little bit warm, but not very hot. You are going to have some leakage, so I actually tossed an old junk blanket underneath and I threw that out when I was done. Now here's where I found out that I also need a 3/4 inch internal diameter hose. The top hose is larger than the bottom. To get the bottom hose off, same deal. Take the clamp off and give it a little bit of a wiggle back and forth, and you should have no problem getting those two hoses off. Like I said, the top is 3/4 inch diameter, the bottom is 5/8. So you can see them hooked up with the 3/4 on the top and the 5/8 on the bottom. I'm going to put the water backwards through the system initially, but I am going to do it in both directions. So I'll turn it on and you're going to see the water come out. Now I was anticipating that this would be a lot dirtier because I run radiator stop leak in this vehicle, mainly because the radiator has a small leak and the radiator costs about as much as the vehicle does. So it's not economical for me to put a new radiator in, and I found the stop leak did the trick. And everywhere I saw online was showing that the stop leak would completely clog your heater core and ruin it. I will show you everything I got out at the end, but that is not the case. It's not as bad as people say it is. Ideally, it is better to repair the leak, although sometimes it might not be economically feasible. So initially I'm putting all of the fluid into this 4-liter milk jug, and that's just so I can capture all of the coolant. After I fill the jug up with the sort of coolant water mixture, I will just put it in a barrel and toss it out. So there you can see one time jug filled with the coolant. And I'm going to go in the opposite direction now and try and get more junk out of the heater core. But ultimately the water comes out quite clean, and I don't see a whole lot of parts. You can see some bubbles flowing through, but that's about it. In an effort to loosen up anything remaining in the heater core, I'm trying a little bit of CLR, and basically I'm just going to funnel it into the heater core, put some distilled water in behind it so it kind of forces itself into the heater core, and then I let it sit for about 10 minutes before I flush it out. Even after running the CLR through the heater core, I didn't find that there was a large amount of contamination that came out. Ultimately the heater core was pretty clean. However, the air was undeniably warmer once the heater core was flushed. And then once again, I'm going to turn the tap back on and force all the CLR and water mixture back out of the heater core. And you can see it's foamy and green, but there's not a whole lot of chunks or anything coming out of the heater core. Now before I put everything back together, I've put the lower heater core hose back on, and I'm just putting in some coolant and forcing it into the heater core just to fill it back up. And then once that's done, I'll put the upper heater core hose on and then reattach the hose clamp. And quite honestly, putting these hose clamps on is the hardest part of this job. It's relatively easy as long as you get those heater core hose clamps off. You see it all buttoned up there, and here's the jug of coolant. So that's everything that came out of my heater core pretty much right there at the bottom of that milk jug, and the milk jug was completely clean before I started this process, so not a whole lot came out. And the last step to do is obviously fill up the radiator with some more coolant and then run the vehicle up to get all the bubbles out of the system and add more coolant as necessary. Anyway, pretty quick and easy job, and it did result in warmer air coming out of the vehicle. Thanks for checking out my video, and don't forget to like and subscribe.